I'm Marco, and I'm working for promote a bit. So I'm working for VTT, and I'm in Helsinki, Finland, and we are a research institute, and we work on many different aspects. And I'm a scientist. And Olivia, you are. Can you say a little bit what you do?
Yeah, my name is Olivia Rubens. I am a Canadian knitwear, womenswear designer. I just finished my master's at the London College of Fashion this year in February and came back home to Canada due to the pandemic. So I work between the UK and Canada and Italy as well. And I am a positive knitwear designer focusing on climate and people positive garments as a goal, and not just sustainable and circular, but all of the above. Hopefully, that is my end goal. So.
Yeah, yeah, and we got into contact because we are both very passionate about recycling, I think, and recyclability about clothing and textiles. And I see that from a different point of view than you, I think.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of developing products, developing garments, it is really challenging to, especially because of the market and as a kind of smaller player, as an emerging designer, it's challenging to think about end of life of product as well as also sourcing sustainably and I mean sustainability is a huge word. There's a massive spectrum evidently, so you kind of have to then situate yourself on that spectrum and figure out what your values are and what you are okay with and what you're not okay with and really be rigid about that. And so for myself, like I've come a long way. I've been working in this field, I guess, since 2016 in sustainable fashion specifically. And the thing I always say is once you ask yourself a question or once you find something out, you can never not know that thing. So you can't ever go back. At least for me. So for me, it's always about asking new questions and trying to improve and trying to progress. And so, at the beginning, I know that I did a lot of things maybe that were wrong or that I didn't know that were wrong. And it's always about taking a next step and doing something differently. So, in my master's, I did take a lot more time, especially in Europe, to explore the possibilities of sourcing and textile development, knitwear development. And what I love about knitwear specifically is that you work from the fiber up and you work from the ground up to build something. So you really, I find it's often more vertically integrated, and it's also just easier to know where your sources come from, I guess, and to build something that is to you that follows your kind of values. So I use a lot of natural fibers and highly certified organic fibers, and that are from companies that have also good values, and or from small farmers in the UK, where I met a goat farmer at a small knitting show that I source her mohair from her from New Forest, for example, and work with natural dyers. But something I struggle with, and if you're focusing on so many things and trying to be innovative in the textiles, is also then when you're running your own business and you're really by yourself and you're trying to do all of these things, then also considering what is the end of life of this product. And sometimes it's just because I don't know. So for example, like Tencel, I don't exactly know how biodegradable that is. Whereas I use a lot of organic cotton and wools. I know those are biodegradable, so I can consciously make an effort to make a product to be biodegradable. And then recycle polyester as well. How possible is that to recycle? How circular is that? And often you get these kind of mixed materials, even though they're stamped certified, and a lot of people use those materials and don't realize that, it might counter the recyclability or the circularity of that
Mhm.
material. How can you solve that? So my question for you then is, what kind of solutions are you looking into as a researcher, and what can we look forward to in terms of circularity, recyclability of materials and new
Yeah,
materials?
yeah. It's a very complicated question. Because the materials that people are wearing, maybe not everybody's realizing it when they're wearing their clothing, is it's usually it's a mixture of a lot of different things. You don't only wear 100% cotton, or you wear 100% some kind of plastic based. Very often it's very mixed. So it's not easy. First of all, we need to know what it is. That's kind of difficult. So that would be very nice if we could have that in the future. We should know better what the material is. Either we should be able to measure it quite easy or not. And then the second thing is, of course, then how do we really separate these materials from each other, and how can we use them again? So, so nature is really good at that. If you look at like microbes, so if you look at the fungi and you go to the forest, There's a tree, it grows, and then it dies, and then fungi attack it, and it gets eaten to little pieces. And they do that by spilling enzymes on top of it. So enzymes are little proteins, little factories that can cut things into little pieces, or they can put stuff together. So what we are looking at is looking at enzymes here that can do the same. So if you have cotton, these are plant-based materials. It's like these are sugar molecules, the same as plants are, same as in trees. And those sugar molecules, you can cut them in little pieces, and then you can use that sugar as food. So for microbes can eat that. That's why they do what they do. They want to eat the tree so that they live. So if we use microbes now to cut down garments into sugar, then we can use those sugars to make other materials. We have microbes that make spider silk, for example. We have microbes, fungi that grow in mycelium little strands, so that we can make mycelium leather out of it. So this vegan bio-based leather, for example. We can create bio-based colors, colorants from with bio-based or coatings, stuff like that. So the idea is then that if you have these, we are still very hard looking at microbes and also enzymes that can also degrade plastics. So we have a few, but we need more. And there are also some very difficult materials, like the stretchy materials. They're very hard materials to degrade. But if we can do it in such a way that we can degrade in steps the garments after shredding, especially at the end of life, this is what we're talking about. So then, if you have a brand new towel which is made out of cotton, it will be a waste, of course, to run that into sugar and then reuse it and make materials out of it, because you can cut it little pieces and you can make new clothing out of it. You can integrate it in different ways, or you can spin it again. You can shred it and spin it again. So that has to start first. But when you are shredding something or mechanically or chemically destroying textiles, you get also waste streams, and we don't like that word. We call them side streams. So these are streams that we can use. And so for biotechnology, we're really looking into that and trying to get the carbon out, put it back into microbes, and then make something for us in terms of using then textiles as food for biotechnology. So that's what we are working on.
Cool. I have a couple of questions. One, when you say the enzymes are able to take apart plastic, how small can you get this to break down, and what would you plan on reusing that, or would that be kind of a waste stream? And how dangerous is that for future consequences? And my second question is actually touching on the stretchy fabrics. My problem as a knit designer is I incorporate a lot of elastic because you have to then balance out durability and I guess environmental sustainability. But I do need to incorporate elastic so the garment lasts a long time and it has the support it needs in certain places. So can you talk about the potentials for that, or the challenges, and then also plastics?
Yeah, in my opinion, as a scientist, and also when we are reading reports, the Rethings report about what the future of humanity needs to do, is that we should create our own resources from scratch. So I think that it's very important that we are not like just taking the resources anymore from nature, but that we are recreating them or creating them from scratch. And when we do that, and we know how to do that, then we are also entering a circular economy. So then you have one molecule, and the molecule is actually recycled through a loop. You make something with the molecule, and that molecule then becomes something usable for a while, and then you degrade it to the monomers, to like really small units. And in this case, if you have plastic, so your plastic is also a repeat of a molecule that is repeated many times, and that's the polymer. And they're drilling downstairs, so don't worry about it. But then they have so when you have these polymers, then of course we have enzymes that can create it back to the monomers. And when we have monomers, then we can take them and make plastic out of it again with the same quality as it has been before. And the only thing you need then, of course, is energy. And if you use microbes, hopefully that's light. So that will be the best solution. So this is something we're working towards, to go to that solution where we can make it really circular. So it's not easy, because even plastic, when you buy a plastic bottle, it's not one plastic. There's sometimes 2 or 3 or 4 different types of plastic there, and
Yeah.
so we have to be able to treat it and go back to the monomers, and then we could bring these monomers together with enzymes, and then make polymers out of it again, new polymers, or maybe even other polymers. So
Mm.
that's what we want to do. And then about the second question is about elastic and durability of things. This is a good question. So I think I had also discussion with some other people in the Helsinki Fashion Week about that, and I really tried to figure out, okay, what do we want? Do we want to have a T-shirt you wear once and you never wash? You shred it and then you feed it to microbes and you make new materials out of it? Or do we need clothing that is lasting forever, that we have an emotional bond to, that is something that my great grandmother wore? I love to wear it still. It's really good quality. Why would I throw it away? Why would I recycle it? And I was asking, okay, what do we need? Is it this or that? And I'm getting the answer: we need both. So this is very good. So I think that there's really some material that needs to live for a long time, but then the end of life happens anyway. We have to be able to recycle it, and those garments need digital passports. We need to know what it is.
Mm.
We need to be able to trace what that is. It needs to have some kind of identity. So
Mm.
that garment needs to have an identity over a long period of time, so we know what it is. So we have an emotional bond with it, I think. And the short term, quick things that we can wear for a short time, like t-shirts or socks, things that break down very quickly, they need to be able to be recycled very simply. So they need to be designed for recyclability much better. So this is sort of like a little bit at the moment where I see how this world would look like. That would be great, because then we could do both, and then we have some stuff that lasts really long and has very durable and very good, and then we have some things that is then some garments and some textiles that we can actually put in a little circular loop much faster. So small fast circular loops and very slow long circular loops. That would be my ideal in terms of
Cool.
sustainability.
Yeah.
I know that you're working on something exciting in terms of having some kind of living material. You were already hinting at it now with your with t-shirts going to grow by themselves, but you were saying that earlier that you have some living garments even.
Yeah, so it's on the other side of things where, I mean, we do need both. We need to have quick garments, I suppose, that are things that people own for a short period of time, because that is how the world works. But also we need to change the way we think about consuming and caring and developing relationships with our garments. So that's something I've always cared about, kind of developing this narrative, but how can I do it really effectively, so people want to do it? Because that's the hardest thing we come by, as well as the consumer behavior and changing the way that people act and consuming and keeping and cherishing, hopefully. So I am working on, it's been over a year now that I've been working on a collaboration with Post Carbon Lab. So they do both bacterial pigment dyeing, which is where we started off, actually, to just develop colors that didn't need any water, that just grew on the fabrics themselves. But then I found out, more interestingly, I think both of them are wonderful, but I thought was amazing, to have the opportunity to create potentially a climate positive garment. They coat garments and materials in a bacteria that is photosynthesizing. So since you would be breathing like a plant, and walking around giving off O2. So currently the garment has been knit this week, and it's gone into the petri dish, the gigantic petri dish that they've developed. And so it's going to be processing, coating, growing, living for the next couple months until September, when it'll come out. And it'll be an ongoing experiment afterwards, which is really exciting to see how it'll live, and what kind of when something happens to it. For example, if I wear it to a party and I spill some wine on it, like, will the bacteria love the wine, or will it die? What's really funny about it dying is that you can tell, just like a plant, you can tell. So it comes out, it's it was knit in like an off-white, and it goes into the petri dish, comes out green like a plant. That is the color it turns. So it's nice because you get the benefits of the coat, like the color coding, and then also this amazing technology. So basically, you have to care for it as well, like a plant. But you don't have to be a green thumb. You can be like the laziest plant lover ever.
That fits me really well, yeah, because our plants always die.
Yeah, so you can keep it out of the closet. You have to keep it out of the closet because it needs to breathe maybe by a bit of sunlight, kind of like a half shaded plant, I suppose. And then you have to spray it with a water bottle once a week, and that's
Hmm.
it. And you can wash it to clean it, and you'll see if it's dying because it'll start turning brown like a plant.
Yeah,
So if
but
it's green, it's
that's very
healthy.
exciting. So I mean, so if we, I mean, this is what we do in the lab all the time. We are working with fungi and microbes, and we are changing their what they do for us like every day. This is what we do. So this is really exciting because then we can, if you think about synthetic biology and what kind of things are being predicted for synthetic biology in the future, this is very exciting, I think. So I mean, if in synthetic biology, we want to think that we now if you look at nature, you put a seed in the ground and then somehow that seed, the DNA in there, it knows that it has to become a tree. It
Right.
grows into this really three-dimensional structure with different kind of, it has leaves, it has branches, the fruit is growing on it. It knows that, okay, it's getting cold, it has to drop the leaves. There's all these functionalities in it just from the DNA alone. And your microbes also have DNA, and we can add functionalities that are really cool. So that you, for example, if it's like in bright sunlight, that it then turns white.
Right.
Wow, that's great. So reflecting light, or if it's like really cold, that it turns darker and it will absorb the UV light more,
Right.
that it warms you up, or it's like limitless. It's like really really interesting to think that you can work with these kind of living materials, and we can put genes in there that are getting triggered by external
Yeah.
factors.
And it would add on to the longevity because then, we change our colors per season. We become darker during the winter. So if we can
Mhm.
make that happen naturally, just like a tree, that would be super interesting and add on to the whole narrative. It's literally, you literally are caring for this garment and developing hopefully a relationship with it over time. And so I think that would be really interesting to see for sure.
Yeah, and it can also take care of you. So it would be really nice. For example, if it can sense you have dry skin and it will like make some moisturizing stuff to your
Yeah.
skin, that you feel better and so forth. It could be a symbiotic kind of experience to live with your clothes in that sense. That would be actually. I find it very exciting.
Yeah.
It sounds like a really interesting thing. So synthetic biology is ready for these kind of like things, and it sounds really good. These kind of things we don't hear from when we're sitting in the lab playing with, or not playing, but when we are doing our job in the lab and we're doing our science,
It's a
playing.
fun job, I guess. You're doing what you love and playing in the
Yeah,
plants. We're all doing that.
yeah. So then we don't hear these kind of like design parts, and it's really exciting to have these kind of like stories from you and other designers. Okay, we like to have this, we want to have this, and we need to find these kind of solutions. And we are also doing these outrageous kind of things like living garments. And I think it's really excellent and really beautiful. It's excellent.
Yeah.
I really would like to see it in person too. When this COVID
Yeah.
gets, when the pandemic starts to end up a little bit, then we can work on it.
Yeah, I mean, I should be there if all goes well. I should be going, so it will be a physical thing. It's in process, so and if not, I'll have to figure out a way to do a video. But maybe I'll document my own process wearing it and experiencing it and feeling good. It's like driving an electric car. Like I'm being beneficial right now to, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Exciting. I'm really excited.
It is very exciting. Yeah, but of course, some people will find it a little bit scary.
Yeah.
With new technologies is always the case, and some people would find it very, very, very cool, and they want to jump on it right away.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a very interesting. I think that the dialogue with all in terms of recyclability and also these new kind of developments and new technologies like synthetic biology and also bacteria and enzymes, it all sounds a little bit scary. We have to have a good it's also a reason why we are making this video. We have to have a good
Yeah.
dialogue with people around the world and saying, hey, these are really interesting things because and is there a risk? Well, we will evaluate the risks, and we'll make sure that everything is safe, and we will make sure
I
that
will
your t-shirt doesn't eat you.
I will clarify that very quickly, especially because of the current culture with the virus and bacteria are two different things. And this bacteria is something you can find in your drinking water, and it's not
Hmm.
gonna get on your body. It needs a nice kind of like a forest to grow in, like an environment. So it enjoys that. And even if it does, it's not harmful. And it's not gonna eat you. It's a beneficial thing. It's a beautiful thing, and
Exactly.
yeah,
Well,
it's
I mean,
love
but
living.
what there are already these yeast-based biosensors. They already exist. So actually, what you could do with these really cool bacteria that you have there, you could put the sensor, you could put the receptor for the virus that we have, for example, COVID-19 receptor on the outside of these garments on the outside of these bacteria, and if they sense the COVID bacteria, they could give a light signal, for example. So they could say, "Hey, watch out! This room has COVID-19 in there. Go away. Very dangerous here." They can actually be very beneficial instead of it's a positive thing, not a negative thing, I think.
Yeah, for sure. There's so many possibilities.
Yeah, it's really, really exciting. I like this. Okay, we have to start playing with that. We maybe have to get some, I'm a scientist, so we need grants to play or to work on things and to make innovations. So maybe this is something that we could collaborate on in the future. It sounds very, very cool.
That would be very cool, for sure. There are a lot of possibilities that I want to take further. I mean, the first one is just even application methods on how to get it. Maybe we can do a cool print and make it really, I don't know, interesting. But then I didn't even consider end of life and all of these other possibilities with microbes and kind of more of a human-centric thought as well.
Yeah.
So I think it would be,
because then if you talk about
climate and people positive, that would be amazing. Take that all in one garment.
You just talked about prints. Is that you can also think about it if you have the light reactive. You can put a print. You can shine a light on it for like overnight, for example.
Yeah.
And then you take the light away. That's the print. They change color because of the light.
Yeah.
So you can. That's also something that you can change print.
Apply it yourself as the person who owns the garment and apply it. Like kind of like a tie-dye effect, then you do it yourself, customize it, and then it goes away and you can redo it another time and it'll always be different, and so you can always have a new garment every time you want to customize it. That would be
sounds like a start a company. It sounds like a good business opportunity.
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
Cool.
I really had a lot of time talking to you. It was really a lot of fun. The first time we talked, we were talking like for a long time, and we had so many things to explore. And
yeah,
I really like talking to you. So I think we should. I really want to see your plant-based shirts. It would be really awesome to get my hands on it and feel with it, feel how it is, and then at the same time maybe we can do something with synthetic biology and recyclability. We both have values.
That would be great. That's my passion. I want to work more in that area and biodesign, biomimicry, and just how we can change how we wear and consume, and I don't know, just the whole system. It needs to be flipped on its head. So I find it extremely interesting, and that would be a really great opportunity. So
yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you so much for speaking with me. Yeah.
All right. I'll do this. We'll see each other.
Yeah. Bye.